A former child actor must reconcile his past and consider his future, surrounded by a group of beautiful young women. Get ready for your acting classes, your streaming channel, and your documentary team as it's time to dive into the world of Osamake. Episode 1. At Hozumino High School, Suehara Maru, a high school student, gathers his courage and approaches Shirokusa Kachi, a young writer and his classmate, telling her that he's read her novel. This captures the young girl's attention, prompting her to ask for his thoughts on her work. He recalls spending days outdoors reading it, mentioning that the novel deeply moved him. This greatly pleases the girl and sets the stage for our story about the time love poisoned our hero's heart. Time passes, and Shirokusa has become a famous novelist, winning major awards despite still being a high school student. Coupled with her stunning figure, and I'm not saying this, it's with the magazine announcing her literature award and publishing a photo of her in a bikini at the same time, says she becomes a local star within the school. Sueharu discusses his plans to confess to Shirokusa at the Confession Festival at the end of their school's cultural festival with his friend Tetsuhiko, despite Tetsuhiko trying to convince him it's beyond his reach. They also discuss Tetsuhiko's infamy with the girls at their own school, although he seems very popular with girls from neighboring schools, and Shirokusa's antisocial behavior. The two friends argue and Shirokusa appears, furthering Suehara's admiration while his friend reminds him that she's unattainable. In the classroom, Shirokusa argues with a classmate who wants to photocopy her study notes, but she prefers to destroy her notebook rather than give them away, deeming copying others' notes an abhorrent behavior. Later, Suehara sees Shirokusa crying alone in the library. Afterwards, while our protagonist helps Tetsuhiko with the cultural festival preparations and Tetsuhiko asks why Suehara isn't dating his childhood friend Kuro, who's always after him, they have lunch together. Suehara responds that it's not the case and that they don't meet every day like today since his friend hasn't shown up. Kuro greets Sueharu, stirring jealousy among their classmates as they're all enamored with the friendly and popular girl, but apparently she only has eyes for Sueharu, earning her the hatred of all the boys. Kuro calms the situation and Suehara tries to escape as their relationship hasn't been good since he rejected her confession of being in love with Shirokusa, but Kuro claims it was fake. Later on, our heroes find out that Shirokusa already has a boyfriend, Abe Mitsuru, and Suehara leaves heartbroken. On the riverbank, Kuro appears to console Sueharu and reaffirm her love for him. He apologizes for rejecting her and she reminds him that her declaration was just a joke, but he insists that it wasn't and he knows it. Kuro consoles our protagonist, telling him that she indeed loves him but understands she can't force him to love her back. However, she assures him she'll be there for him whenever he needs and offers her shoulder to cry on. She proposes getting revenge on them for causing his emotional pain, and consumed by jealousy, Sueharu agrees. The next day, after watching an interview with Abe about his acting career, Suehara meets with Kuro to devise a plan, and Kuro suggests pretending to date to make Shirokusa jealous. Suehara reluctantly agrees, and Kuro takes advantage of the situation to try to seduce him, attempting to kiss him to seal the deal. Still in love with Shirokusa, he flees from Kuro's deception. After unsuccessfully trying to gather information about any weaknesses or faults of Abe, he confronts Sueharu on the school rooftop, revealing that he remembers him as a child prodigy actor. Episode 2. Sueharu recalls that as a child, he was a child actor and enjoyed the profession as it brought him closer to his mother. However, something happened and soon we'll find out what it was. After reminiscing about his days as a child actor, Abe continues to confront Sueharu, revealing that he was always his admirer. Abe's own father worked with our hero when he was young and had nothing but praise for the young actor, motivating Abe to pursue the same career and reach his level. The young man surprises our hero by revealing that the reason he's dating Shirokusa is to prove he's superior to Sueharu, knowing that Sueharu is in love with the girl. This enrages Sueharu, who threatens his rival. But Abe knows that Suehara can't risk getting expelled from school and continues to challenge him. However, Suehara manages to control himself and abandons his violent attitude. Angry, Suehara tells Tetsuhiko that he'll help him with the cultural festival play to compete with Abe, but they'll need a high-quality script and only one woman in the entire class is capable of writing it. Meanwhile, everyone finds out that our protagonist and Kuro are dating, infuriating their fan club and Shirokusa. Suehara asks Shirokusa for help with the play and she mentions how since becoming famous, everyone asks her for things. But she also says she enjoys helping budding artists, so she agrees. Later that night, Kuro visits Sueharu, discussing her sisters, her strange taste in food, and a photo of Sueharu with his old childhood friend Shiro when she receives a phone call from Shirokusa about the play. Sueharu takes the call privately and tries to talk about the play, but he's constantly interrupted by Kuro, who asks domestic questions. Shirokusa expresses regret for interrupting their date and waits for him in the library to discuss the script, bidding farewell while showing jealousy. After the call, Kuro becomes jealous and tells our hero that maybe Shirokusa is allied with Abe and the two plan to humiliate him. After all, they are a couple. However, Sueharu refuses to believe it. Later, Sueharu and Kuro tease each other, trying to kiss twice, with no success due to Sueharu's cowardice. The next day, Sueharu tries to rehearse for the play but faints. Upon waking up in the nursery alongside Shirokusa, she gives him a script for his play but asks why he stopped acting in return. Sueharu reveals that he became an actor thanks to his mother's support, a dark actress who died in front of him while performing, traumatizing him. After revealing this, Shirokusa hands him the script and flees. It's revealed that Shirokusa is Shiro, Sueharu's childhood friend, the daughter of one of Sueharu's drama sponsors, and his biggest fan. Her father introduced her to Sueharu as a gift, becoming his only friend and making a promise to make a film together, but he stopped meeting her. Feeling betrayed, believing that she and their promise meant nothing to him, she became a strong and beautiful woman to someday take revenge on him. But after learning the truth about Sueharu's mother's death, she regrets her actions. That night, Sueharu and Kuro devise a plan to ruin Abe's confession to Shiro, and Sueharu thanks Kuro for her help, suggesting that he has developed feelings for her, and everyone prepares for the cultural festival the next day. Episode 3. On Confession Festival Day, Sueharu has everything set for his revenge and asks our hero if he's ready for what's coming, warning that he might get too excited. A confident Sueharu responds that not only is he ready, but it might be the other way around. Tetsuhiko, aware of Sueharu's plan, tells him that this revenge might be a waste of time, but beyond stating his opinion, does nothing more, unaware that Shiro is eavesdropping on them. Sueharu heads to his class, which has set up a Japanese cafe for the cultural festival. There, after interacting with Kuro and sparking jealousy among his classmates, he's summoned by a mysterious person. At the school stairs, the mysterious figure reveals himself as Shiro, Sueharu's childhood friend who lost contact 6 years ago. After reminiscing about their promise, Shiro reveals that he had changed, unveiling that he is actually Shirokusa Kachi. Shirokusa confesses that everything she achieved in life was for him, even writing stories he could portray. She almost succeeded until the day she planned to reveal herself, seeing our hero with Kuro, assuming they were a couple. They seem to reconnect, which greatly pleases Shirokusa. However, she then encounters Kuro, who was aware that Shiro was actually Shirokusa. After Sueharu and Kuro talk, causing Kuro embarrassment, they both have a date at the festival. Following the date, Kuro slaps Sueharu, ending their fake date, and tells him that no matter what happens at the confession festival, she'll be watching him. At the confession festival, Sueharu reaffirms to Tetsuhiko his determination to proceed with his plan. During Abe's confession, preceded by Child Star's singing act, Sueharu appears and takes the stage. He declares that he no longer loves Shiro and instead confesses to Kuro, who denies him, shocking everyone. After the festival, Tetsuhiko and Abe have a conversation where the latter reveals that Shiro planned to make Sueharu fall for her to reject him. However, Kuro's presence ruined the plan, leading to the fake date with Abe. In reality, the two were never a couple, they were just doing the same thing as the other pair. Abe admits being a huge fan of Sueharu and agreed to play the villain to bring him back on stage, considering it an honor to work alongside him. Both are surprised that Kuro managed to conclude Shiro's plan in less time, but Abe concludes that ultimately everyone has lost. Kuro still loves Sueharu, but her anger made her reject him, and now she regrets it. Later, a girl watches Sueharu's performance on her phone and recognizes the young man as her big brother. Episode 4. In the middle of the night, Sueharu, Kuro, and Shiro are still suffering due to their decisions and humiliations during the confession festival. The next day, while the trio remains despondent, Tetsuhiko reveals that he uploaded Sueharu's rejection to WeTube, making it go viral, much to Sueharu's dismay. Suddenly, their class receives a visit from the famous actress Maria Mamasaka, who hugs Sueharu in front of everyone. Sueharu explains to the jealous Kuro and Shiro that he and Momo are also childhood friends, with Sueharu being her senior at their agency. However, while Momo talks, the only thing the two girls see is the actress holding onto their friend's arm, which starts to bother them. Momo then confesses her love for him and vows to make Sueharu forget both Kuro and Shiro, angering them both. During lunch, Tetsuhiko apologizes by giving Sueharu a pizza, and he accepts, believing it might also help with a potential reboot of his acting career. Tetsuhiko introduces the girl who brought the pizza, Rina Asagi, a middle school friend of Tetsuhiko's. Sueharu asks her if she provides adult services, but she denies it, teasing Sueharu along with Tetsuhiko. During the argument, Shiro, with Miko's help, tries to invite Sueharu on a date but immediately backs off and starts arguing with Tetsuhiko about the video. During the argument, Kuro shows up, but Sueharu gets so scared that Shiro kicks her out. By the river, Sueharu tells Tetsuhiko over the phone that he got scared because he no longer understands Kuro, and after the argument, Tetsuhiko asks Kuro, who overheard everything, what she'll do next. Returning home, Sueharu is greeted by Momo, who borrowed the keys to his house from Kuro's mother and settled in as if she were the young man's real sister. While discussing their careers, Momo reveals that she never visited Sueharu again because she had no excuse, but now she does, and discloses that the new president of her agency asked her to invite him to a meeting along with Kuro. During the conversation, Kuro's younger sisters appear, and after Momo hides, they tell Sueharu that Kuro is behaving strangely and might have amnesia. Episode 5. Kuro's younger sisters show up at Sueharu's place to inform him that Kuro has amnesia. Momo arrives and, after being introduced to Kuro's younger sisters, starts playing around, spicing things up. After Momo heads back home, Sueharu and the sisters discuss Kuro's condition. Sueharu teases Midori for not being feminine, and Akane gives him good advice, to which Sueharu expresses gratitude. The next day, Sueharu and Kuro talk, and although Sueharu still has doubts, they agree to start their relationship anew. Shiro shows up to pick up Sueharu, gathering Kuro, and she doesn't believe Kuro's amnesia story at all, and you're not the only one, so Sueharu decides to put it to the test. During lunch, Sueharu tests Kuro by offering her a sausage shaped like an octopus, something she can't eat because she's been scared of them since she was a child. After teasing her a bit, she actually eats it, seemingly providing enough evidence to confirm the amnesia. Sueharu shows Kuro the agency card and mentions they're both invited to a meeting. Although she doesn't seem very interested and tells him, in her opinion, he shouldn't return to acting as it was a source of suffering in his life. An angry Shiro appears after eavesdropping on their conversation about Sueharu's return to the entertainment world and invites Kuro to go with him to the agency because what she wants the most is for him to act again. While Shiro supports and Kuro disagrees, Tetsuhiko decides to propose another alternative. Tetsuhiko presents his idea of a WeTube channel where everyone could be members, called the Ultramarine Channel, and Sueharu likes the idea but wants to go to the agency first to talk to the CEO about his comeback. In the end, everyone decides to go together. At the meeting, Sueharu encounters Momo, and they both remember how they met, Momo being aggressive initially but won over by Sueharu's talent. The others show up and meet Shun, the new CEO of Hardy Pro Agency, who, aside from seeming like a very unpleasant person, proposes a lucrative offer to both Sueharu and Kuro. While Sueharu feels tempted, Kuro refuses, but Shun insists. Offended by the rejection, Shun loses his smile and tells Kuro that her parents must not have taught her manners, which infuriates Tetsuhiko. He spills a bottle of wine over the rude man's head, warning him not to mock his childhood friend. Episode 6. After Shun mocks Kuro for rejecting his offer, Tetsuhiko pours wine over his head. Furious, Shun speaks ill of everyone and almost gets attacked by Tetsuhiko, who is restrained by Sueharu. Shun threatens to call the police but is interrupted by a visitor. Everyone agrees to pretend nothing happened, but Kuro disagrees and admits to the wine incident. Shiro's father arrives and mediates the conflict as his company is a client of Shun's agency. Momo proposes a resolution, a commercial contest. Both Hardy Pro and Ultramarine Channel, supported by Soichiro's funds, will create 2 commercials, and the winner will be determined by public votes. If Shun wins, Sueharu and Kuro will work for him. If they win, Shun will drop the lawsuit and won't sabotage their careers if they decide to switch agencies. Although Sueharu pleads with her, Momo will side with Hardy Pro during the contest to demonstrate her career as an artist has evolved. The next day, the Ultramar Alliance holds its first meeting about their commercial for a beverage brand, and Shirokusa is confident they will win. That night, Momo recalls how she and her sister fled from their abusive parents. Eri worked hard to raise her younger sister, and Momo hated everything until she met Sueharu, who became her mentor. However, he disappeared after leaving the entertainment world and her. The sisters watch the Ultramarine channel's first commercial together, but Momo isn't impressed as it focuses more on promoting the channel than the product. The following night, they watch their second commercial featuring Acid Snake's new song, and it's a success due to Sueharu's talent, showcasing to Momo how much she lacks in comparison as an actress. As Ultramarine Channel wins the contest, everyone celebrates. Tetsuhiko is contacted by Soichiro, who will support his channel, and reveals that he knows Tetsuhiko is Shun's son. He also informs Abe that Kuro orchestrated the entire fight and contest to get closer to Sueharu and sabotage his return to the entertainment world. Momo announces she'll attend the same school as them, revealing her good relationship with Shun, but confesses she wanted to get closer to Sueharu, prompting her to flee from her jealous friends. After hiding with Rina's help, she questions Sueharu about why he's friends with Tetsuhiko, and he falsely reveals that everyone approached him with ulterior motives besides Tetsuhiko. However, Kuro finds them. In the end, as Sueharu and Kuro head home together, Kuro misses having her normal appetite and remembering everything, looking upset when Sueharu realizes the amnesia story was a lie. Episode 7. Upon discovering that the amnesia story was a lie, Sueharu is in shock and asks Kuro why she did that, but she refuses to respond. Angry and in regret, Sueharu breaks a taboo and calls her Blackheart, declaring war on her. Back at home, he regrets saying that, fearing her retaliation and conflicted about his true feelings. Meanwhile, Kuro, fearing the other might take advantage of the situation, decides they need a mediator. Meanwhile, a reluctant Shiro allies with Tetsuhiko. In the club, everyone welcomes Momo as Tetsuhiko announces the affiliation and rules of the Ultramarine Alliance. He proposes a new beach project over the extended weekend. Although Shiro opposes it initially, the project is approved. Kuro can also bring her sister on the second day. However, both Kuro and Momo suspect it's Shiro's plan, causing a fight between Sueharu and Kuro as Sueharu now trusts Shiro more than Kuro. Back home, Aoi takes over household chores instead of Kuro. Suspecting Sueharu and Kuro are at odds, Aoi acts as a mediator, exposing the motivations of both and the reason they're fighting, although Aoi agrees that Kuro is in the wrong. She advises Sueharu not to enter any relationship during the beach trip until resolving the conflict with Kuro. Meanwhile, Tetsuhiko recalls Soichiro confronting him about Rina being his half-sister. He's grateful to Shiro for her cooperation but reflects that it would be better if Sueharu doesn't start a relationship with any of the girls, and the outcome of this trip depends on Momo's move. Upon arriving at the beach thanks to Eri's ride, Sueharu begins to notice Shiro confronting Eri. Later, a jealous Momo also takes notice of him and challenges Shiro to a cooking contest. Episode 8. Shiro and Momo decide to have a cooking contest, and with Eri's intervention they settle on cooking local hot pots, although Shiro wants to prepare chicken. At a restaurant on the way to Okinawa, Momo befriends Rina and both eavesdrop on a conversation between Sueharu and Tetsuhiko. While the former thinks about Kuro, the latter suggests creating a harem to not sadden anyone. Eventually, Momo concludes she's the last in the race for Sueharu's heart and decides not to let him and Shiro get close during the trip. After arriving at Kachi's beach house and assigning rooms, everyone relaxes by the pool. Sueharu suggests they all put on bikinis and take a shower together, resulting in Tetsuhiko punishing them by tossing them into the pool. Meanwhile, as Kuro does house chores, Akane and she discuss the trip, making Kuro angry and jealous, imagining Sueharu and Momo getting closer. At the beach, everyone, including Rina convinced by Tetsuhiko, has fun until Sueharu receives a call from Shiro who wants to show her bikini in private. After going to a secluded beach, Shiro displays her bikini and they sit together, with Shiro sitting on Sueharu's lap. Before anything happens, a jealous call from Momo, who is watching everything with Tetsuhiko and Rina, interrupts and she approaches Sueharu, accidentally revealing to everyone that she's wearing padded chest. Back at the beach house, while Sueharu and Rina study, Shiro practices her dance. Sueharu decides to help her, showcasing his dancing skills. Later that day, while Momo is in the kitchen, Sueharu goes to talk to Shiro, who is upset on the beach as she was practicing to cook chicken, Sueharu's favorite food. After he encourages her, they almost kiss until Sueharu recalls Aoi's words about being careful on such trips. The next day, after a feast with Tetsuhiko, Sueharu is awakened by Kuro, who has just arrived with her sisters. Episode 9. The four Shida sisters arrive at the beach house, and Kuro is already upset with Sueharu for the fun he had, being held back by Midori while Aoi apologizes. Later, Tetsuhiko holds a meeting with everyone, deciding rehearsal, study, and filming schedules. After rehearsal, Kuro notices that Sueharu and Shiro have become closer and decides to use her secret weapon. At the beach, everyone is ready to have fun, and Kuro catches Sueharu's attention with her bikini. However, Midori mocks Shiro's superiority over Kuro, leading an angry Kuro to call Sueharu for a private conversation. Still in conflict, Kuro decides to appeal to her as yet unknown sadistic side, intimidating Sueharu by repeatedly confessing her feelings to him, driving Sueharu crazy. In the studio, Kuro gives Sueharu a special test, and noticing he may find it challenging but feeling motivated, he does the exercises while Kuro confesses genuinely once again. After the studio session, everyone prepares the stage for the shoot, and after Akane gives Sueharu a suggestion about the speakers, he calls Tetsuhiko and engages in a conversation to help her overcome her shyness. During dinner, Sueharu worries about Shiro's feet, which have been hurting since rehearsal, while Midori puts a bandage on her. At night, while everyone sleeps, Sueharu, still awake, goes to the beach and overhears Shiro receiving a call from Miko talking about her effort and desire to stay just after Sueharu, practicing for the shoot. Meanwhile, Aoi finds Akane observing everything, and after confessing her feelings for Sueharu, the former hugs her, revealing that she too fell for him but chooses to conceal it since all her sisters feel the same. The next morning, Kuro and Momo realize that Sueharu and Shiro are getting closer. After shooting a scene, while Sueharu insists it's already perfect, Shiro stumbles off the stage and hurts her arm. When Sueharu rushes to help her, he hurts his arm as well. At school, while Tetsuhiko edits the footage, Abe shows up to inquire about the trip. Tetsuhiko informs her that Shiro has the lead role as Momo is concerned about Kuro and Sueharu prefers the fragile type. Meanwhile, Sueharu and Kuro hitchhike with Shiro and her father, who informs them that Shiro will move into Sueharu's house to support him until he gets better. Kuro protests and she will accompany him along with her maid. Episode 10. After having an adult-themed fantasy about Shiro in the bathroom, Sueharu is summoned by the girls to discuss their situation. He calls Tetsuhiko for advice, but Tetsuhiko merely tells him to enjoy, saying it's what we would do. In the living room, all the girls want to stay with Sueharu that night to prevent any moves. Kuro's sisters pay him a visit, but they all act strangely due to their feelings for Sueharu, and Kuro also provokes him by saying she loves him. Both Kuro and Momo receive calls informing them that they can't stay, but when they leave, Shiro's maid, Cheyenne, comes to talk to Sueharu, telling him that Shiro only respects him, nothing more. They soon become rivals behind Shiro's back. At school, Momo's arrival causes a commotion and male students start hating Sueharu for being close to her during lunch. After Momo leaves, Shiro tries to feed Sueharu, but he remembers Cheyenne's words, so he leaves and meets Kuro. They talk on the rooftop, starting to get along again, and Sueharu even teases her in return, but they receive a call from Tetsuhiko. Tetsuhiko proposes to the club to make a documentary about Sueharu's existence in the entertainment world as it's a requested topic and TV will do it anyway. He also suggests filming the real ending of Child King, Sueharu's last acting job, and in the end, our hero agrees. After the credits, the girls hold a meeting, and after Shiro and Momo argue, Shiro forces them to compromise, Momo will stop causing a stir, and Kuro will stop teasing Sueharu by declaring her love. They also decide to take turns taking care of him. Momo also offers an idea about the documentary, leading each one to make plans to finally win the war for Sueharu's heart. Episode 11. Sueharu wakes up to Cheyenne writing on his cast, and after catching her in the act, she jumps on him to write more, getting caught and scolded by Kuro. During breakfast, they read gossip about Sueharu retiring. In an emergency meeting of the Ultramarine Alliance, Tetsuhiko reveals that the gossip reports are Shun's fault, but he unveils their counterattack plan, which requires Sueharu's approval to create a documentary and film the true ending of Child King, already sold to a streaming platform. Sueharu greenlights the idea while Momo suggests to the girls that they interview him in significant places from his past. The first interview is between Sueharu and Shiro, recalling the time they nearly climbed Tokyo Tower, but Shiro got scared and Sueharu encouraged her. Our main characters share an intimate moment, almost kissing until they remember they were filmed, deciding to visit Tokyo Tower now. Back home, while Shiro excitedly heads to the kitchen, Sueharu appears and tries to persuade Cheyenne to be friendly with him using Shiro's photos, but she tries to outsmart him and fails. At night, she boasts to herself about her victory. The next morning, Shiro goes to wake up Sueharu, almost kissing him until Momo interrupts, waking up and stripping Sueharu while Cheyenne bullies both Shiro and Momo by touching their muscles. Next, Sueharu and Momo go for the next interview, and as Momo recalls her past relationship and meets Sueharu's mother, she reveals her plan to get closer to Sueharu through the interview. They both go to the place where Sueharu's mother died while Momo asks him about her death. When Sueharu reveals how she died and how it affected him, Momo starts crying, missing her. Sueharu tries to cheer her up, but he starts crying too, missing her. Episode 12. After embracing and crying together, Sueharu and Momo return home, and Momo tries to seize their intimate moment to get a kiss, drawing attention from Cheyenne, who acts as the love police. They try to bribe Cheyenne with childhood photos of Shiro, and it almost works, but Cheyenne ends up kicking Sueharu. The next day at school, Tetsuhiko still believes Shun is responsible for the media attention and plans to release the documentary and the finale of Child King together as a counterattack. After class, Kuro takes Sueharu to a cave, an old hideout for Sueharu after his mother's death, and they both reminisce about the day Kuro followed him there, and they had an intimate moment after distancing themselves following his mother's death. By the river, they talk about their recent fight, and in the end, both apologize after Kuro explains herself, and they confess their feelings again. However, as Sueharu takes too long to respond, Kuro retracts her confession, knowing he still has feelings for Shiro, and she accepts being his secret childhood girlfriend, acting as a real girlfriend until Sueharu takes the initiative. At the entertainment club, Abe shows up to learn about Sueharu's situation. Tetsuhiko reveals that Shiro lost her advantage, and Kuro, knowing she would be rejected, proposed the idea of being the childhood girlfriend to return to the status quo before the confession festival. It's revealed that Kuro spoke about it, treating Tetsuhiko if he told anyone, scaring Abe. Fully recovered, Sueharu decides to make the finale of Child King. After airing the documentary and the finale, Tetsuhiko informs Sueharu that he now has a fan club, and the three, Kuro, Shiro, and Momo, decide to put an end to it. As our story wraps up, we see a glimpse of the true ending of Child King, where Sueharu's character wakes up from a coma alongside the three main girls played by Kuro, Shiro, and Momo. And that's how this intriguing series concludes. If you enjoyed the romances and misunderstandings, recommend similar series to me. If you haven't subscribed yet, it would be a great favor if you do so. That way, I can continue creating content. As for me, I bid you farewell until next time. See you.